Not once, but twice within 3 years, the world witnessed colossal ocean liners swallowed by the sea. One became legendary, the other vanished beneath layers of war and silence. At first glance, the Titanic and the RMS Lusitania might seem kindred spirits, grand white-starred passenger liners commandeering the Atlantic. But their fates diverged sharply. The Titanic, hailed as unsinkable, tragically collided with an iceberg on April 15, 1912, claiming over 1,500 lives. She became a myth, her tale woven into human consciousness. Meanwhile, just 3 years later, the Lusitania, a marvel of maritime engineering, was torpedoed and sank in mere minutes on May 7, 1915, killing 1,198 souls, including 128 Americans. Yet her story is hushed, sidelined, buried under wartime propaganda and strategic ambition. This is not just a tale of ships lost. It's a study of contrasting narratives, of heroism and hubris, of war and peace, of memory and forgetting. As we delve into these tragedies, we'll unravel deeper truths. Why one disaster captivated the world's heart, while the other became collateral damage in a global conflict. Listen closely, because the shadows they cast still haunt us today. From the moment the Titanic left Southampton on April 10, 1912, it embodied supreme confidence. She was the colossus of her era, 882 feet long, 46,000 tons of steel, with opulent first-class salons, electric elevators, and Turkish baths. Passengers included luminaries such as financier John Jacob Astor IV and playwright Dorothy Gibson. The world watched with awe, yet beneath the polished decks, fatal errors lurked. Only 20 lifeboats, enough for barely half, were installed. The crow's nest lacked binoculars. Radio telegraph room, staffed but understaffed. On April 14th, warnings of drifting ice came from Marconi operators and nearby vessels. But Captain Edward Smith, reports show, maintained near top speed, 22 knots. The belief in Titanic's invincibility was near religious. At 11:40 p.m., lookout Frederick Fleet's call shattered that faith. "Iceberg right ahead!" As the iceberg scraped the starboard side, rivets popped like gunfire. 5 compartments flooded. Chaos spread quickly. "Women and children first," the boat order rang out, but so many were left behind. On the nearby Carpathia, distress calls were fired off. But it was 2:20 a.m. when Titanic finally slipped beneath the waves. The sea swallowed the grandest ship ever built, and with her, the lives and dreams of over 1,000 souls. Archival reference. Black and white footage of silent deck chairs floating in the Atlantic. Audio overlay. Carpathia's distant whistle. Morse code tapping. Survivors' hushed recollections. The Titanic's sinking triggered sweeping safety reforms. Lifeboats for all. 24-hour radio. Even the first ever ice patrol. It was a rebuke. A bitter lesson in unchecked ambition. 3 years later, ocean liner elegance met the shadow of warfare. The RMS Lusitania, queen of the Cunard Line, set sail on May 1, 1915, from New York to Liverpool. She carried 1,259 individuals, men, women, families, all seeking comfort amid world chaos. Even as war raged in Europe, the U.S. remained neutral. America's neutral flag blindly sailed across submarine hunting grounds. Propaganda posters warned, "Days." Earlier, German declarations painted passenger ships as wartime risks. But Lusitania's operators pressed on. At 2:10 p.m. on May 7th, just off the Irish coast near Old Head of Kinsale, Capitan Lieutenant Walter Schwieger's U-20 fired a single torpedo. Seconds later, a second, larger explosion ripped through Lusitania, possibly concealed munitions or engine boilers. Eyewitnesses reported chaos akin to combat. Massive columns of steam billowed, decks burst into flames. In just 18 minutes, The mighty liner descended beneath foam and wreckage. Lifeboats capsized. Passengers leapt into icy water. Survivors drifted toward the Irish shore. Bodies washed ashore. Images emerged. An orphaned child, a mother's lifeless arms. Among the casualties, 128 Americans, turning public outrage into a political wave. President Woodrow Wilson called it an act of piracy. The sinking weakened the U.S. isolationist stance, laying groundwork for eventual entry into World War I. Archival reference, grainy film of deck chairs on lifeboats near Ireland. Newspaper clippings flash, Lusitania sunken by U-boat. Unlike Titanic's peacetime tragedy, the Lusitania was war. Its lesson was blood-soaked and politicized. Maritime protocol? Almost irrelevant. This wasn't hubris. It was calculated violence. What makes one legend and the other obscured? Nature versus intent. Titanic's demise was accidental, impersonal, dramatic. The Lusitania's end was calculated, weaponized, politicized. Heroism versus guilt. Titanic produced icons, the band that played on, Captain Smith who stayed. Lusitania produced scandal. The U.S. accused Germany of war crimes and even found conspiracy in Britain's plans to bait American involvement. Reform versus retraction. Titanic led to safety reforms. Lusitania led to diplomatic war games. Passenger. Rights remained suspect in wartime. Memory is selective. Titanic gifted a storyboard, rich narratives of love, heroism, tragedy. Lusitania's story was slag in wartime fuel, and the fact remains, the Lusitania's wreck still lies scattered. Titanic rests in ghostly grandeur. Today, Titanic sells tickets to underwater expeditions. It's inducted into museum halls, its artifacts cherished, its stories told. Lusitania is cooler among historians and artifacts collectors, yet overshadowed by politics. Both demanded change. Titanic in safety, Lusitania in neutrality laws, and submarine warfare. Both reshaped international rules, yet only Titanic haunts our collective imagination. As we peer into the depths, their iron hulls testify. Sometimes we fall victim to nature, other times to ourselves. But whether through iceberg or torpedo, the sea cares not for our glory or our silence. One ship sank because we trusted ourselves too much. The other because we trusted war itself. In the cold hush of history's depths, both disasters still whisper their lessons, if we dare listen. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe my channel.